Well, it's time to do a little maintenance on the old MATROD. I don't have a fancy schmancy hoist like, 63 impaler. But I get these fancy rams. That works for me. We gotta do an oil change and grease, look it over, get it ready for IOLA, which is coming up this upcoming week. Fun. Time to change oil. I know everybody videotapes oil changing on YouTube. I don't know why, but I can do that too. It is warm because I went out for a ride with it. It's not hot. First thing I usually do is get the filter loose. Come on. It's coming. Let that drip a little. Now for drain plug. And that is that. That's very exciting. Alright, what do we all got here? Everything looks good. Like I said before, I converted to disc brakes. It's kind of a funny story, but those rotors are actually 1979 or 77 Ford Thunderbird rear rotors. Yeah, I never would have figured that either, but that's what they are. Calipers and rest of it's, GM. And the bracket was made by Sparebird, somewhere up near Washington State or Oregon, I forget where. Stops. Not great, but it stops. Oh, there's just not enough room under here, but looking at the oil pan, as you can see, it's nice and dry, no leaks, no drips. That's the way I like it. This motor wasn't a rebuild, but it was I did go through it all. New rings, bearings, oil pump, all that fun stuff. Everything's nice and dry, just like it's supposed to be. Even on this side. Let me hold the camera the right way so it doesn't look like you guys are falling over. There we go. Get the light back here. Ooh. And everything else looks dry. Tranny looks dry. I rebuilt that. Like I said, it's got all new bushings and ball joints in the front. The only thing you really can't buy it are the tie rod ends. You can buy them, but they're not cheap. Steering box, that's regular GM, and that one's actually got a lot of play in it, so I might swap that out one of these days, put a new one in. I haven't got that far in life. As you can see, it's all kind of tight in here. It's a lot of stuff going on. Got my poly bushings through the sway bar. That sway bar could be another inch bigger because this thing does have some serious body roll. Alright, now back further. Looking at transmission. That little dash there, that's hit a curb once. This car sits really low. Luckily it didn't poke the oil pan. Looks like it got a slight drip coming out of the speedometer drive. This particular car doesn't use its speedometer drive off the tranny. It uses the wheel. Actually, it's the left front wheel. Cable goes right to the dust cap, and the dust cap's got a little drive on that. Kind of different. Learned something there. Here's big ass exhaust. Right up to the exhaust manifold. And here's where I had to beef up the frame. Actually, the whole frame rail, I put a whole new piece of angle iron in. I think it's a 3x6 angle. And it goes all the way to the back and it's tied in. It's bolted all the way down the side and then welded all around the back. Boxed in and bolted again. And I just didn't trust the original frame. We're still running the original 1964 Olds rear end. And from what I read when I built this car, that's pretty much indestructible. So far I haven't broke it yet, so that's good. Here's my connector, and it goes to 3.5 inch from there, and it goes all the way out the back, 3.5 inch. If you noticed, there's no mufflers. I don't like mufflers, but yeah, that void right there would have been where the gas tank was, but I need that for the exhaust. So it's got a fuel cell in the trunk. Works out good. Rear brakes are still drum. Kind of lucked out. Actually, it took me a while to figure it out, but you can't buy parts for this car. They're pretty much gone, or they're really expensive. But a 1971 the Suburban Chevy half-ton light duty with the 5-lug bolt pattern is the exact same brakes which on this car. Drums, wheel cylinders, shoes, everything. So that was cool. And a lot cheaper than what they wanted out of the Oldsmobile catalog. Had a brand new drive shaft made up for it. Oh, come on, focus. Here we go. Balanced and everything. Yep, that rides good. Homemade transmission mount. There just wasn't a lot of room under here, and I didn't want to chop the floor up to make the mount fit, so that's why it's got the gussets and that, and then the bottom supports here. It keeps it from flexing. Put it on bolts so I can take it all apart. And if you looked, I notched out the bottom of the floor so the exhaust would clear. Yeah. The goal was to airbag the car, and it might still happen, but not right away. Well, everything looks good. I'll put you guys down and get to work.